A wild day for protesters at the original Occupy Wall Street site. Hours after being kicked out of Zuccotti Park in New York City, the occupiers returned to their makeshift campsite. As Randall Pinkston reports, officials seem unsure of what exactly will happen next. President Obama is scheduled to return to Virginia in just 2 weeks as part of his 3-day bus tour aimed at garnering support for his jobs plan. No word yet on where he'll be visiting. But meanwhile, a different kind of president did come to Richmond today. Eric Lowen, he's the president of the American Nuclear Society. Can you say travel nightmare? Imagine being stuck on a plane at the airport for 9 hours. It's all happened to us at some point, but man, it is not fun. We know it's hard to do even when the conditions are right. So imagine doing that with no food, no water, no bathrooms. That is what happened to hundreds of airline passengers over the weekend. A few months ago, they couldn't talk about the most personal details of their lives without risking losing their jobs. Now gay service members are speaking out about what it was like to keep a whole part of themselves under wraps. Stephanie and Bill, last month we brought you the story of Janet and Sharon Strauss, a family desperate for services that would keep Sharon, who has an intellectual disability, living in her Ashland community and not in an institution. Tonight, a very different viewpoint told through the lens of two parents who say their son, Jason, needs an institution, could never have the same quality of life outside of an institution. A conflicting perspective that also paints a fuller picture of what state lawmakers are up against. Thank you, Katie. And just a reminder, as the process plays out, just remember you can get all the latest information on WTVR.com, as well as our mobile app and our Facebook page. As soon as we have any kind of relevant information that we need to share with you, we will put it on those formats immediately. A soldier recently transferred from Fort Lee is fatally shot. News of impropriety coming out now. A candidate for the House of Delegates in Appomattox, Virginia, is admitting that she had an affair with a female student. Well, that's no longer the case now. It's kind of an antiquated idea, and everyone in the General Assembly understands that, and they're working toward moving to community-based care. But it's not like you can just turn on a light and all of a sudden it's going to happen. There's a lot of obstacles to that, not just money either.
If you don't have this in your family, you probably don't even know that it's going on.
No, I think that it affects thousands of Virginia families, but it wouldn't necessarily be one of those prominent issues that everyone would be aware of until you see specifically what one particular family is going through, and you know that that is emblematic of what so many others are facing in Virginia.
And why did you decide to tackle this issue?
That's a good question. I think that it's a vulnerable population, and if we don't stand up or at least showcase the problems in the system, who's going to? If I buy this pillow in a Virginia store today, I'm paying a sales tax on it. But if I buy the same pillow on Amazon.com, I'm expected to report that sales tax at the end of the year. What retailers want to know is how many people are actually doing that.
With details, Sam?
Cheryl, good afternoon. As you know, gas prices sitting at $4 a gallon, the national unemployment rate at 9% right now, and people have real problems and they want real solutions to those problems. On one hand, you have Congressman Eric Cantor, who has called the Occupy Wall Street movement, quote, a mob scene. On the other hand, Governor Bob McDonnell, who supports it if it remains peaceful. Now, with those positions as a backdrop, violence erupts in Atlanta and in Oakland. The Commonwealth has already been dubbed a crucial swing state by many ahead of next year's presidential election. Certainly has been that way in the past, so maybe that's why so many candidates have already begun campaigning in Virginia. And aside from the River City here in Richmond, an equally popular, if not more popular destination, Liberty University. Thank you very much, Wayne. Occupy Richmond protesters have found a new home. Today they set up camp on the front lawn of Mayor Dwight Jones's next-door neighbor, who happens to be the editor of the Richmond Free Press. Tracy Sears is live and in the thick of the action. And Tracy, how many people are there out there? Thank you, Cheryl. Well, there's a man wielding all kinds of power in Virginia state politics these days. But we're not talking about the governor. In fact, the man's status as elected member of the General Assembly is even debatable. We're learning new information this afternoon about a bizarre and tragic story coming out of Spotsylvania County. A man who died after accidentally shooting himself in front of his own children. Back to breaking news and continuing coverage of the successful search and rescue, we're happy to say, of Robert Wood Jr., who was found today some 3.5 hours ago at about 2 o'clock. In a rock quarry right near the North Anna Battlefield Park, where he had initially gone missing on Sunday. An entire community here, not just in the immediate area of Richmond and Doswell and Hanover, but really an entire community of people up and down the coast just absolutely ecstatic. Well, we all do it, gas up, at least we do it reluctantly because then we see the bill. But this is good news for the largest oil company, Exxon. In fact, third quarter earnings surged this quarter, up 41%.
And ironically enough, both cases happened in Massachusetts, as you said, Sam.
And you know what? I think this actually represents a wonderful business opportunity for anyone who wants to craft an app, how to get your way out of a maze or an apple orchard, because apparently, folks, that's all the rage these days.
I think it'll get snapped up. In fact, the Cards won that 1926 World Series game. And Bill and I will bring you, something you wanted to add?
Well, if you're going to give me the opportunity, sure. Actually, it's a good thing that she won on Wednesday. On Thursday night, maybe she went to that too, but they lost, so it's 1-1 in the series.
Oh, I hadn't heard that. Okay, well, she's still hoping to see him in.
For many years, scientists have been studying whether cell phones can cause cancer. It's been a major question. Now, the biggest study to date has good news for cell phone users. CBS Health Team 6 investigates with a report from Tina Kraus out of London. When you see people begging for money on the street, do you ever wonder if the story they're telling you is actually true? Police have arrested 4 people for panhandling in order to pay, ostensibly, for a baby's funeral. Police say the entire operation was a complete scam.